So, once upon a time, a long time ago, in a place actually quite far away, different career before I was retired, my boss accused me of being a solution looking for a problem. I don't know if that was a, a slam or a backhanded compliment. I'm not quite sure. But in that vein, I've been trying to figure out the best way to debug the track and trying to bring the speed of the trains down. In order to do that, I've got to come up with a plan where I put power to the tracks in a place to have even voltage around the track. And even then you have elevation changes. That's going to load a locomotive more or less, depending on if it's going up and down a hill, stuff like that. But so I was looking for a way of, instead of guessing whether I've got a voltage or hole somewhere, trying to figure out where it is, if I do have one, and use that as a tool to, add power supply, add leads to the track, to supply voltage. Now, if you watch the channel, we have Romex that goes pretty much around the whole place, feeding these blocks. And then the blocks, in turn, feed the track. And we're formalizing it. We're still, we just added some today. Put a couple of feeds right there on those two curves at the far end of the track, right there by the moon, which, by the way, I've decided needs its own little switch, right? So I put the two transformers on one. I took one I had on one of the transformers and put it on the moon. And I want to do the same thing with the bears and the fire. So anyway, in order to do that, I was looking for a way to have a digital display voltmeter right around the track real time, and then display with Wi-Fi or something like that, or Bluetooth on my cell phone what the voltage was. Well, in parallel, I've got this camera here because I was looking to do, a little better job of having fun with the layout by riding that around on a flat car or whatever. And it kind of works. It's not the best, though. I need to do something better. But it's good enough to do this other idea. So it actually has a job, even though it was disappointing in its original job. It has one. So got one of these cheesy digital meters, and basically they tell you how to hook it up. It's not rocket science. Basically, you have on the right hand side, you got to power it, so I had to put a battery in there to power it. Order doesn't matter, just voltage does. And then two leads from the track, one from one ground and the other from the pickup, go into the input. And if it all works, just power it up. You should get some kind of a display. And look at that, there's a display. But I ran into a problem. I'm going to have to put the camera down for a second. So I did run into a problem, and that is, that's a little too tall. And it's too wide, so I had to rotate it. So therefore I just rotated the camera. And this little device is interesting because it does a couple of things. You get an app with it, you download to your phone, and not only does it display real time what the camera is seeing, but you can also record a file, and it stores it as a video file on your phone. So you get both. You get the real time plus something you can go back and look at afterwards for your analysis purposes. So I thought that was really cool. And here, let me take this guy off. And let's just see whether or not we see a voltage change when I add voltage with a transformer. And does it kind of make sense? Yeah, kind of. That should be around 12 volts. So we're in the ballpark, right? And I also have a voltmeter right here on the lower track, so what I can do is put this in the lower track and see what we get. So let me do that, because I don't really think it cares which track it's on. And right now I've got the bridge off of the upper track. So what I'll do is start riding this thing around and seeing what it gets for voltage. And then I have another phone that I'm charging, and hopefully I'll be able to get just a little bit of display of what I actually get on my cell phone while we're watching this thing. So this is what happens when you're not feeling good. You can't be doing what you're supposed to be doing and stuck inside, and you come up with ideas like this. So let's get him moving. So this is what you get on your screen, and you can record. Or you can just sit here and watch, and then wait for it to do things. So that's the idea, and I think what we're going to do is formalize this a little bit in maybe a little different components. But I'd like to have a car that looks like a car where on my phone I can see the voltage real time. That's what we're doing with this. And I know there's track voltage cars you can buy where it displays on the side, but that doesn't do much for me. That's pretty useless. Having a display on my phone real time while I'm watching the train, that's useful. That's what we're going to do. That's what's different. So, well, a couple other changes happened. So the layout is evolving yet again. Begin to cut down some of that stuff. I got a bunch to cut. in formalizing the trolley track. That's happening. Changed the way that switch is, so I can actually load cars right here, have the train go out that way, and just start adding cars on here and pull it out. And then I put a switch controller right here for that switch. So we've made some changes. And I didn't do this one justice in the last video, but this one's growing on me. And I was very disappointed when I first bought this because it didn't have the vertical can motors. Instead it had these horizontal ones. And it has a lot of plastic and all that, you know, so I just wasn't a fan. But what I'm learning is, just like with the Lionel Alcos I have that have those horizontally mounted can motors, these things run good. You know, they're not a fine machine like that K-Line GG1, but they run good. And when the camera's off and you just want to sit here and let things go and listen to the trains and stuff like that, these are as good as anything. They're not that expensive either. So I better unplug the camera and unplug the voltmeter and see if I can't make a video.